the whole focus that we have for this whole semester, actually, if you didn't know, is about stepping up, right? So, right here, we're trying to help create opportunities here for people to actually step up, right? And, you know, to help grow, not just, like, because if we believe if you can step up in other areas, that you're gonna grow spiritually as well, and that's just gonna have a huge effect, right? So we have some big plans for Resonate coming up, and we'll tell you guys more about that later. But right here, this is one of the ways that we're gonna step up as well, right? So I tell you guys a little story, right? But first, I want to tell you the title of what this message is, right? And this right here. Anybody want to read that for me real quick?
I can't believe God loves me.
Well, I'm glad you guys sound, you know what, this is good. This is good that you guys sounded terrible saying that, because that means you don't believe this, so this is good. Clap it out for yourselves real quick. Right. Woo. I can't believe God loves me. Now, let me tell you why I felt like we should talk about this today. I'll bring this up. So, if you guys don't know already, like, I work at a gym right now, and I coach group fitness classes. So I've been doing that for a few months now. But I also intern at South Bay too, right? So over the past few, it's been super fun actually. I've been interning with Rochelle and
Nina.
Nina. Jordan works there already. But yeah, so it's just been really fun. But the past few weeks, it's been kind of a struggle. And I've told some of you guys about it already, that I've really been struggling a little bit with trying to find balance and all these things. And sometimes when we get put in situations, I feel like where there's just so much going on, it's really hard for us to focus in on God again, right? So I'm going to tell a little story about this. So last week, right? Last week I was actually at the campus, and if you guys don't know this, like 3 days in a row, I basically broke 3 days in a row. I broke down 3 days in a row, and I remember I had to go home early. I couldn't focus, and over the past few weeks, there's just been so many things going on, I just didn't know what to do anymore. Right, and as I was at South Bay Sunnyvale campus, I was counting the baptism supplies. I was in the back closet, and I remember I was just sitting down and I was working. And I just remember all of a sudden, like, I couldn't focus anymore. And I was just so focused on working, saying, I gotta get this done, I gotta get this done, I gotta get this done. And it was killing me, because right there, my relationship with God was struggling. And this was just last week, guys. This was just last week. Now, I was hurting, guys, and I basically said, I was telling myself, and I was asking, why would God love me? Now, I think if we're all really honest, that's one of those questions that we do ask ourselves. But especially being put in an environment here, sometimes we're so scared to actually bring it up. But if I'm honest, that's what I was asking myself. I was asking, why does God love me? And I remember I just remember as I was counting, I was thinking about this as I was working. I was like, I gotta keep counting. I gotta keep doing this. I gotta keep working. I gotta keep working. I gotta keep working. I gotta keep working. And then I remembered something. I felt like God was telling me something. It was about Martha and Mary. So there's a story about Martha and Mary when Jesus was at Martha and Mary's house, right? And one of them was working so hard, okay? Martha was working so hard. Let me see what it says here. Her sister Mary sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he taught. But Martha was distracted by the big dinner she was preparing. So there's these two women. One of them was right there at the feet of Jesus, giving him attention and listening to him and loving him. The other one was there, and she was trying to earn her love for Jesus by working and preparing this dinner. She was so focused on this. She was so focused on this, guys. And if I want to tell you something right now, I felt like God was telling me that. He said, Alex, stop working and just spend time with me. And I don't know, there's sometimes you guys are either at work and things get super busy. Maybe you guys are at school and it gets really busy and you're getting stressed out, and all you gotta think of is, I gotta work, I gotta work, I gotta work, I gotta work, I gotta work in order to get there. Now, if we're honest, that's kind of like what culture and society teaches us, right? In our jobs, if we don't do well in our jobs, if we don't work hard, if we don't perform better than the person that's right behind us, there's that next person right behind us ready to take that job. And if we don't work, then we're done. Do you feel like sometimes that mentality creeps into the rest of our minds? We let it creep into our relationship with God?
Yeah.
Now, if I'm honest, that was still going on in my mind, but I kept telling myself, I'm still going to keep working. I'm still going to keep working. I'm still going to keep working. And then I just broke, and I was like, okay, God, fine. You want to tell me something? Then I asked him, why do you love me, God? I'll be still if you tell me why you love me. Because I can't believe it right now. Right? And it says right here, there's one point you got to remember, I feel like. One of them's right here. Do not base your relationship with God off of your works, but base it off of his love for you. Because here's the thing, if we base it off of our works, do you know how great and perfect our God is? Now, do you think our works can really compare to how great he is? Now it's so hard. Now I start asking myself, all right, then if it's not based off of our works, and if we are never able to be good enough for God, then why would he even choose to love us? Guys, I was thinking about this, and I'm like, I know all the answers. I know why we learn why God loves us. Guys, look, John 3:16. For God so loved the world, he what? I guess we don't know it. He what?
He gave his only son.
Yes, he gave his one and only son, guys. And we've been learning this. If you've been in church for a while, you've been learning it. And that's always the base off of everything. And it's like, I know all the answers, God. I know all the answers right now. And I know what we learn in church. And I know if I asked the pastor this, I know what the pastor would tell me. But I still can't believe it. So God, you got to show me. Okay, now, so I was like, why would God create us in the first place? Let's go back. Genesis, the very beginning. Like, okay, if you guys have your apps or Bible with you, you can go to Genesis chapter 1, right? If not, I'll be right here on the screens too. Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 and 27. Now, I'm going to have it up right here. I was like, God, why did you create us if we can never work to be good enough for you, God? You got to let me know right now, because it's hard for me to believe that you love me. And right here, verse 26, then God said, let us make human beings in our image to be like us. We go down to verse 27. So God created human beings in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. Right? Now, if he created us, I want you guys to look at verse 26. Right here it says, to be like us. God created us to be more like him. Do you guys realize that we have feelings? You guys want to tell me some of the feelings that we feel sometimes? Go ahead, you can just shout them out. What feelings do we have?
Sad.
Sad?
Happy.
Happy.
Angry.
Angry.
Joy.
Lonely.
Lonely.
Really angry.
Really angry. I love it. Right? So here, now we have all these feelings. Did you know we also are jealous sometimes too? Did you know sometimes God describes himself as a jealous God? So do you not think sometimes God has feelings as well?
Oh yeah.
So if we're created to be more like God, do you think he gave us these feelings so we can maybe better understand him?
Okay.
I think so. I like how Dale's responding. Thank you. This is why we invite Dale here. So somebody responds. There we go. Right? To be more like him. I heard somebody also say lonely. Now if I read Genesis 1, verse 1, guys, if you want, go ahead. I want everybody to close their eyes right here. I don't want them to just imagine this. Everyone close the eyes. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless and empty, and the darkness covered the deep waters, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the surface of the waters. Think about how empty that is. It was formless and it was empty. Can you guys remember a feeling right now where you felt so lonely? Go ahead, open up your eyes, guys. I asked my grandma, Grandma, can you tell me why you decided to have kids? And you know what? Guess what she told me? Because without them, It's lonely. And the one thing I feel like a parent wants, now I'm not a parent, but I feel like from conversations I have with parents, I feel like the one things that parents want is just to be known and loved by their children.
It's true.
God, do you guys know God created us to be His children? Let me see, what do I have next? Oh, wrong one. Anyway, moving on to the next point. It's like, okay, God, you created us to be like your children, but how come, let me tell you what, God, I still can't believe you love me. Thank you, Dale.
Preach.
So, I still can't believe you love me, God. So if I don't believe that, why should I love you? Why should I love somebody that doesn't love me? Now that I asked my grandma, Grandma, what if your child went up to you and they said they did not love you? If your child went up to you and said, Mom, I don't love you. This was her response. I would pray to God that they would love me, because she still loves them. Now, if you think of a baby, a lot of times, if the case was we need to work our way towards love, then babies would not be loved. You know why? What do babies do?
Cry.
They cry, they poop, they pee, they throw up, and they don't let you go out to party, right? That's what they do, guys. And then guess what? Parents still love them unconditionally. The baby does nothing to bring any value to that relationship right there. They don't do anything to help the family. They don't do anything to help support the family. They don't do anything to make things more convenient for the family. But parents still unconditionally love their children. Now, if God said He created us to be more like Him, I think we're starting to get the picture here a little bit, right? Now, let's go dive into a little bit to somebody that says, God, I can't love you because I don't know if you love me. We're going to go ahead to Luke chapter 15, and we're going to look at the lost son, the prodigal son. Now, I'm going to let you, I believe Jesus thought that this was so important. You know why? Because he said he had 3 different stories, 3 different parables to describe this one thing. Before this, he talked about the parable of the lost sheep. And then he talked about a parable of the lost coin. And he said, and it says right here, to illustrate the point even further, Jesus told them this story. Right here. Is this it? Nope. He told them this story. A man had 2 sons. The youngest son told his father, I want my share of the estate now before you die. So his father agreed to divide his wealth between his sons. In other words, Dad, can you die so I can just have the money and do my own thing now? I don't want to be under you, Dad. I want to do my own thing. I want to go do what I want to do. The father didn't refuse it. A few days later, this younger son packed all his belongings and moved to a distant land, and there he wasted all his money in wild living. About that time, his money ran out. A great famine swept over the land, and he began to starve. He did his own thing, and he ended up messing up. He ended up sinning and doing all these things. And sometimes we still ask ourselves, God, I did all this, but you still can't love me. You can't love me because of all the things I've done, of the wild living. And I said no to you all. I already said no to you already, God. So why would you take me back? Now let me tell you what the son said. He started thinking to himself, when he was at the very bottom of everything, he was at the very bottom. He was starving. He was working with pigs, and he even thought the food he was feeding to the pigs looked good. He didn't have enough for anything to eat. And he finally said, I will go home to my father and say, Father, I have sinned against both heaven and you, and I am no longer worthy of being called your son. Please take me as a hired servant. Now I want you guys to think about that real quick. He's feeling that the only option he has now is he can't make it on his own anymore. And he knows the only option he has is to go back to his father. And if I was that son, I would be thinking, he's not going to take me back. I took everything and I disobeyed him and I did my own thing, and I know the only way for me to live again, to come back alive, is to say, I need you back, Dad. And even so much he says, please take me on as a hired servant. He doesn't even feel worthy to be called his son anymore. So I imagine him walking on his way back home. It says this. So he returned home to his father. And while he was still a long way off, his father saw him coming. But look at this. Filled with love and compassion, he ran to his son, embraced him, and kissed him. He's a long way off. He's probably walking. The son's like saying it over and over again. It's like, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. What did I do? I'm not worthy. This isn't going to work, but I have to try because it's the only option I got. It's the only option I got, so I still got to try. But imagine that, being that son and having all those thoughts in your mind, and all of a sudden in the distance you see your dad, and you just see him sprinting towards you, and right when he gets there, he's kissing you and he's hugging you. And while he's hugging him, you know what the son says? His son said to him, Father, I have sinned against both heaven and you, and I'm no longer worthy of being called your son. And I imagine him saying this with tears running down his eyes, so confused on why his dad is hugging him. And his dad responds with saying, we must celebrate with a feast, for this son of mine was dead, and now has returned to life. He was lost, but now he is found, so the party began. And he's saying, son, all God wants for us is to come home. So all these thoughts that you're having that, God, you can't love me. God, I can never work hard enough for you. He's saying, I don't care about those thoughts and feelings, because it's not about what you can do. It's not about what you've done, but it's about what I've already done for you. Now we can go back to John 3:16 again and say, for God so loved the world that he gave his one and only son, that whosoever believes in him will
Not perish, but have eternal life.
Yeah! Woo! Not perish, but have eternal life. So now I feel like it's a little easier to believe, to see that description on why God really loves us. And guys, I remember that was breaking me so much on wondering why God would love me. But the only thing that we have to do, what do you do when somebody gives you a gift?
Accept it.
You just have to accept it. You just have to receive it. That son didn't have to do anything else but just received his father's love and compassion for him. And I believe it's the same thing with us too. That God so loved us, he loves us so much that he sent Jesus on the cross to be beaten for us and to take on all of our sins, just so we could have a way to know him. Guys, we should be clapping right now. That's pretty cool, huh? Right? So I feel like if you ever come back to anything like, God, you can't love me. God, I'm still stuck in the past. And that happens to me all the time. I feel like all we got to do is just remember, it's not about what I can do, God, but it's about what you already did for me. Guys, can we remember that? God, Chris, where you at, buddy?
Yeah, what's up?
Alrighty. We're going to go back. And as we reflect on this, we're going back into worship. And Chris and Rochelle are going to close us off real quick. And if you want to sing, you can sing. If you want to just listen, you can listen. but just really reflect on everything and about how much God really loves you.
all the voices. Yeah, He loves us. Oh, how He loves us. Oh, how He loves us. Oh, how He loves. God, thank you so much for your love. That you're able to love us no matter how much we screw up, no matter how much we always try to find a better way. But God, you are the one who provides. You are the ones who gives us the living life of the stream. I can't say English. But God, you provide the stream of living water. And God, sometimes we search for something that gives us more life than what you've already given us. But God, I know that no matter how many holes we dig, no matter how many wells we try to find, God, you're the only well that we need.
Yeah.
God, that you are the one who feeds us when we're hungry. You're the one who sits us on your throne when we're tired, God. And God, you are the one who sacrificed the most perfect human being in the place of our own sin, our own faults. And that's love, God. I thank you so much for what you've done and what you're going to do in our lives.
Yeah.
We love you and we praise you. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen.